Bienvenidos a otro episodio de Gamers RD Podcast.
So you were telling me about that guitar that you bought in Florida, was it?
No. So this guitar is actually one I bought a few summers back.
Okay.
It's called a Walla Walla. There's a shop out of Laguna Beach, and I saw this guitar in there, and it looks already like it's beat up. Yeah, it's brand new, right? I don't know if you could see it. And what's so cool about this brand is it's made out of Seattle, and the guy finds driftwood and he creates guitars. And so this hollow body sound is what I used on Apex Risen for the song Breathe It In, which is about Caustic from Apex Legends. And it was just, it just had that kind of tinny, plucky sound that I was looking for that particular groove. And I'm so glad I bought it. It was awesome. And this is a really cool guitar.
So it's a weird one because what I'm seeing is that you have the tele pickup layout on a Strat type guitar with 22 frets, and it also has a metal coil in the single coil in the middle. Yeah. So it's kind of like a Frankenstein between a Strat and a tele.
Well, and it also weighs
so
exactly
damn cool.
2.5 pounds. It's the lightest guitar you've ever picked up ever.
Yeah, I mean, light guitars are like super into it. So guys, we've been live for a while now, and we have Adam DeGraide here from the A.D.A.M Music Project. If you're following, this man has made a couple four concept albums actually, for Apex Legends. And if you haven't heard them, you should probably just jump on Spotify and give it a listen because they're freaking amazing. Yeah. How are you doing tonight, man? Thank you so much for being here.
I'm glad I came, and of course I'm in my house, so it's perfect. And it was a couple of years back. I've been producing music my whole life in a lot of ways. Been playing music since I was a young kid, and so much so, Daniel, that my brother and I would adjust the clocks on the wall so we wouldn't have to practice our piano that long. And my mother used to say, "Adam and Neil, one day you're going to thank me for torturing you like this and making you play music." And I said, no way, that's going to happen. And I'll never forget it, man. It was my freshman year in high school.
If the torture was making you play music, then that's honestly top of the line parenting, you know?
Yeah, at the time, I wanted to be a kid. I wanted to go play in the woods. So who knows what the hell I wanted to do? But she said, if you stick with it, you're going to thank me. And I remember being a freshman in high school, and I had a study period where I was allowed to practice piano on stage because I was a musician. And it was during the senior girls gym class. So I'm a freshman on the stage playing the piano, playing all the popular hits. And I had all the senior girls literally like crying at my piano as I'm playing Journey and all these other different tracks. And I went home that day, and I got in front of my mom, I went on my knees. I said, "Thank you for making me play music." And, and since then, I dabble with guitar, obviously a little bit, bass. I play drums. I fancy myself a little bit of an arranger. And so it's been a lot of fun having that in my life. And I started a record label years ago called Astonish Entertainment, where I produced 5 other artists. And I never did my own stuff, Daniel. So I was always promoting other people's music. So about 2 years ago, I was really starting to get back into music. I got a nice Steinway. And I love hard rock, man. I've always loved hard rock. And I've always felt like it's an underserved form of music in today's society in a lot of ways. And especially in the gaming community. I'm a massive gamer. So I play games probably as much as any gamer plays. I'm a huge Apex Legends fan. Played Horizon Zero Dawn, all the Assassin's Creeds, Final Fantasy VII, Destiny, changed my life in a lot of ways. And I said, I want to make some albums. I said, but I'm not the youngest cat in the world anymore, Daniel. I don't have any teenage angst yet. The world's screwed up enough. They got enough people talking about how the world's screwed up. I said, I'm going to make some songs about video game characters.
It is still in a mass process of screwing up.
I'm going to start with Apex.
Yeah,
so
man.
The very first song that I wrote for the album was Me, Myself, and I, which is about Mirage. And that's who I made in Apex.
Interesting. And you actually managed to impress me from the get-go because you look like one hell of a man of culture. Like, you're into really, really good video games. You mentioned Assassin's Creed, you mentioned Destiny, you mentioned Horizon. Like, those are some of the hottest games of the last 10 years.
And don't forget Dig Dug. I just wrote a song about Dig Duggan.
Right.
Called Dig Duggan.
And I've been observing from the very moment we started talking, like you have all those guitars and basses back there, and I can see what seems to be a Van Halen. You have a Gibson there that looks to be a Paris headstock. You have a Warwick bass, a Samick. Like you are a man of taste in every single sense of the word.
Well, yeah.
And talking about the album, man, like I guess the big takeaway for me, like I'm the kind of psychopath that takes a playlist and puts in a shuffle for hours, and I completely zone out. Like I just start paying attention to what's going through my ears. I don't really. So I'm not the type of person to memorize like song names or album years or anything like that. But what I noticed is that you went super eclectic with it. So some songs are like downright metal. Some others are a little more on the punk side. Then you have like stuff like synth pop stuff and psychedelic Pink Floyd style stuff. Like you're a man of good taste. I know your playlist probably jumps from Dream Theater to Tears for Fears to Miles Davis to Lamb of God. And I'm like, wow, dude, this is like really cool stuff. Like the mixing's great, the mastering's great, the presentation's great, the music's compelling and it's entertaining, it's catchy. And it's like super well played. And so it has me thinking like, wow, maybe like there is a big difference between scoring a game or scoring a movie or even like making an album with a band versus making a concept album like the ones you made for Apex, which are like music that is based on a cast of characters that have like different backgrounds and different personalities. So you take like different
backstories.
Exactly. Like you take like different points of inspiration there. Whereas you would normally make like, oh, let's make a hard rock album. Let's make a synth pop album. Let's make a trap album or something like that. You're now making like a completely separate concept for each and every song. And that kind of like there is a very specific type of creativity and a very specific type of versatility, more importantly, behind all of it. So you told me
First of all, thank you.
So
thanks for noticing.
Anytime, man. So what are you playing on the albums? Are you like just sticking to the guitars? Are you adding vocals? Are you doing the production, the mastering? Like, what's the part you're taking? How does the creative process of those albums look like back then?
Every single album starts the genesis here in my studio. So I come up with a concept, the musical style, the format of it. I'll typically write and arrange all the parts, including the drums, even though sometimes I'll have a session drummer play the parts that I've arranged, although he had some of his own flair to it as well. But it just starts with, I want to be true to the character, but we're not afraid to explore all the genres of rock. So let's just take one song, for example. So Octane. Octane is about the character Octane. It's a very good song. I think so, at least. And it was inspired musically from the old Ronnie James Dio, Stand Up and Shout. I don't know if you've ever heard, so it's got that kind of like old throwback. And then a little bit of like Kickstart My Heart combined with some Dio, combined with some modern flair. And so the idea was how do I capture this character and how do I make it punk, but not totally punk? So I wrote the guitar part and an amp, a Line 6 amp at the time. I was just goofing off. Then I threw it into Pro Tools. I recorded the bass. I did a temp drum track. And then, I just started doing stuff like Stamped Up and Ready to Burn, just to see how it would sound and how it would feel. And then I brought it to my partner, Damien Aranda. And Damien Aranda's from a band called Aranda. I don't know how deep you went on this, but he is a fantastic musician, producer, songwriter himself. So we co-write all the songs together. And then I work out of a studio called Vo Studios in Oklahoma. And James Connor is the guy that I work with there. He's a great vocal producer. And then we've decided I wanted to make it, even though every song, Daniel, starts with my arrangement, my guitar parts, the bass lines, the synths. I'm doing all that. So most of the synths, almost all of them, unless I ask somebody to do something on it, because I want them to add their flavor and their color to it. The bass playing, the guitar, rhythm guitar playing. I don't do any of the leads on the album except for one coming out in July called Kiss of Fire, which is about Mortal Kombat, by the way. So, that's really, really how it starts. And then we try to find the right vocalists to match the character. So if I've got a female character, I try to find a strong female vocalist that I think will represent that character well.
Right.
And then obviously with a male character, we try to do the same thing. And then we're not afraid to explore the different genres within rock and roll, like you mentioned. So we have a song called That's Me about Yoshi, and you would think it's a kid's track. Do, 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 do. It's like, it sounds like you're in Yoshi world, but it's a little bit of a rock edge to it. And then we got a song called I Bring Death, which is classic metal. Like it's just metal to me. And we got Eric Gillette, who plays with Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater.
Eric Gillette happens to be one of the unofficial children of John Petrucci out there.
Oh, dude, he is ridiculous. And we were blessed to have him on there. Recently, we've added a guy named Jay Gleason, who is an underestimated shredder. And he did She's the Key, which is about Joel from The Last of Us. He also performed on Free to Be Me, which is one of our singles that did very well recently, which is about Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid. So for the watchers, you're probably saying, well, what does the A.D.A.M Music Project do? We write songs about video games.
Right.
And video game characters, and all from a rock perspective. And it's not just all about a character. So like Pathfinder's Lonely Mountaintop, was about a game I had in Apex where I was left alone. My squad mates abandoned after they dropped Daniel because they quit. They're quitters. And I was left all by myself with a Rampage at the time when they first released Rampage. I forget what season that was. That might have been 9 or 10 or something like that. And I'm sitting on top of the mountain as a Pathfinder, just wiping the entire map. So I wrote the song about that. But I'm also revisiting Pathfinder. So I just recently wrote a song called Killing Machine, which I'm recording next week in Oklahoma. And that's about Pathfinder. So it's almost like, what am I feeling? What do I want to write about? And the cool thing, man, is it's like I can dive into a character even if it's not who I am.
Right.
So have you ever played Diablo?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I just wrote a song called Blackheart. And it is the darkest song I have ever written in my life. But the character allows me to be that. Right?
Absolutely.
It may not be who I am, but the character allows me to be that. So you can explore those concepts. And as a musician, it gives me freedom within the genres of rock. So we wrote a song called Help Me, which is about Cloud from Final Fantasy VII. We specifically, Damien and I sat out to write the song to make it the world's greatest 80s heavy metal song, #1 hit that you've never heard. And that's kind of how we produced Help Me, which is on the album Smash It Up, which came out last November.
Cool.
So that's a little bit of our process. It starts with, I'll grab one of these bad boys. I'll come up with a lick. I'll do some drum programming, basic stuff. I'll lay down the track. I'll throw some bass in there, either programmed or played, depending on what I'm going for sonically. And then I stop and say, do I like it?
Right.
And if I like it, then we continue. If not,
I think there is a great thing to it when you like it, because if you we happen to be so abusively self-critical at times that if you end up liking the things you do, it's because there's normally something very magical going on with it. And you're like, wow, did I really come up with that?
You can feel it, man. You can actually, I can actually physically feel it. I don't know if you're able to, if I could actually, I'm working on some riffs right now that I'm exploring even my production elements where, I'm trying to refine the production, trying to make it more like I'm doing a song like Falling in Reverse right now, and how they cut the thing up and it's like so on the grid, and every little guitar part is chopped and every little bass part is chopped, and it's a work and a labor of love. But when you get to the finished product, it's worth it. And people don't realize, man, the simplest song to be done well in the sense that it feels like this wasn't done in some guy's basement, that this is actually has a decent budget. The performers know what they're doing and they spent time and there's a lot of care in it. We've all heard bad music, but when you hear good music. True. And so when we started the A.D.A.M Music Project, which stands for Artists Developing Astonishing Music, and it happened to be my name, so it's a little self-aggrandizing as well too. I said, how can I name this thing about me but not about me? No, that's not how I did it. But that's kind of the way the concept came up. And it has to be good, really good music about silly things. And so if you come and see an Adam Music Project concert, you will be blown away because you'll see the visuals of the video game characters going along with the music. But if you just closed your eyes and said, I don't know what they might be singing about a character I never heard of before, we want you to say, that's well played, well executed, well sung, well produced.
Correct. Exactly. Like I'm not particularly an Apex guy. Like I'm more into Overwatch normally. Like those who
I just got a song.
Oh, really? Well, actually, we just had Anjali Bhimani a couple episodes ago on the podcast. She's the voice actress of Symmetra. So, but yeah, like I kind of relate. Like I played Apex maybe the first couple months it came out. Like everybody else, like, oh, let's give it a try. And if I don't like it more than what I'm currently playing, then I'll just go back, you know. But that's the thing. Like even if you don't know anything about Apex, the music is still interesting to hear. It's still compelling, and
thank you.
It's still like it makes you feel stuff, and it's exactly what music's made for. And I guess what's interesting about it is like following the words of my good friend Mike Gatt. I had him on the podcast a couple of years ago, and he just when the Long Halloween movies were coming out, the Batman movies. So I had him. He was the composer of those two movies, and he explained to me like, well, when you're scoring, the music's kind of in front of you. You know, like there are things that you follow. You're just not like grabbing ideas that vibe within you randomly, and you're just building a song out of that, and suddenly this is a song for my band or something like that. No, like there is like a point of reference, there is like a point of start, like things are kind of directed. And but you also have like you have this, but you also have the concept of the band where you're like creating music that can be put in a playlist in a party or in a car or something. Like it's not a Hans Zimmer score, but it's also not like an album where every single song has the same guitar sound, the same vocalist, the same drum sound. Like there are nuances and differences between each other. Yet you manage to keep like this identity. And you still like you can tell you're still hearing the same production, the same guy, and all of that stuff. So are you the kind of producer that does everything on the box, or do you like are you into analog gear and SSL consoles and all that stuff?
No, I'm a box dude. I just don't have the time. I mean, so think about our schedule, Daniel. So what we have done since July of 2024. So 2022, July 25th, 2022. I've already released 3 EPs, an LP with Apex Risen, Smash It Up, 6 or 7 singles. I'm releasing World Takeover, which is about Dr. Eggman, by the way, in July of this year. And I'm recording Black Heart, 13 more songs next week. So we do 26 songs a year in production. We're committed to releasing
a lot of workload.
We release every 4 weeks something, whether it's a single or a full album. I just did a 10-song live album that I have in the can. I'm waiting to release that as well, too. I did a lot of the Apex Risen catalog live in front of like 600 people in Oklahoma City. That was a hoot. And so we take it very seriously. You know, I decided that if, you know, it was either have a golf membership somewhere or make music. And it's not, see, people think you make a ton of money doing it. Nobody makes any money doing this. You do this, I mean, unless a song breaks, right? But nobody cares about that anymore unless you have big streaming numbers. Well, how do you get big streaming numbers? You got to have somebody take a shot on you, somebody give you some time, you know, or you just do what you love. And so music saved me in the sense that I can pour my creativity that I believe God has given me and then bring other amazingly talented people that are even more talented than I am around me. And like Lacey Saunders and Macy Cantrell and Hartley Buick and Myra Beasley and Damian Aranda, Gabe Aranda, Joel Driscoll, Brandon Frazier. We have, I know I'm missing somebody. Eric Gillette, Jay Gleason, Jeff Hall. I've had over 35 contributors to what we've released already. Shavi. I think it's Shavi and Zach who did drums with us on the videos, and
and
my brother Neil. Hold on, Neil DeGraide. My brother Neil DeGraide from Durport Robbins.
Forgot the brother.
Pete Mitchell from Hold on, I'm in another band. It's called No More Kings. And so Neil DeGraide is in Durport Robbins, blowing up. You got to check them out. They're amazing. Pete Mitchell's the lead singer of No More Kings, which I just produced a new album on that's coming out. The first single's coming out next week. So it's so much fun, Daniel, to have community.
Absolutely.
Because the gaming world is community, right? We enjoy gaming with people. We squad up. When you're on the box, so to speak, and I'm using Headrush FX, and I'm using all these plugins and things like that. But to get into a studio and to have everyone come in,
it's a completely different experience
about music. Well, it makes it magical. So you have the blend of the old, camaraderie, right? Creativity, everyone's own unique voice being added to the project, coupled with the production that makes it quick and easy for me to deliver killer stuff. But everything you hear on the A.D.A.M Music Project has been played by somebody. And so that's a really important piece to realize. There's no AI generated music. I'm not grabbing samples from anywhere. This is stuff that comes out of the brain into the keyboard or into a MIDI device or into the guitar or whatever. And these people are really singing.
It has a soul. It's as simple as that. So, and like to your point, when you say like we take this very seriously, I think that's kind of the point that most musicians are missing nowadays. Like there's more supply than ever right now. Like after the pandemic, everybody has a home studio, and it was not only musicians. Like you have people like doing YouTube, podcasting, voiceovers, voice acting, you name it. But you also had musicians like buying their first sound cards, buying their first pair of monitors, their first pair of studio headphones, and they started kind of learning that. So it was a pretty acrobatic, and I'm talking about personal experience here. Like you could find people that will send you entire things to mix or master, the same way you could find people that were like offering services that were just as half-assed. So it's like, sure, you're gonna have AI generated music, and you're gonna have the same way on the same way DJs through digital audio started making music without really knowing about music. Now you're gonna have like a bunch of kids making music with AI without really knowing about music, and they're going to be making 10 songs per day because AI will be that powerful, if not more. But my personal anticipation is that suddenly the organic stuff, the good stuff, will become a will become a delicacy. Like things like live shows, things like real instruments being by real people. Like I don't know, it's going to be like the second coming of grunge, if you want to call it that. Wouldn't that be awesome? Yeah, exactly. Like you're gonna have. I don't know why is it that I feel like making a Soundgarden or Pearl Jam style band right now is a wonderful idea, because in 5 years AI is going to be making super robotic, ultra perfect, hyper processed music, and like, yeah, let's rock and roll, like let's give people rock and roll again. And it's like going to a 5-star restaurant and eat something cooked by an actual sous chef instead of going to McDonald's, like I think that is very, very much gonna happen. But like going back to what you said, like about on the box and saving time and all of that, I remember Glenn Fricker from Spectre Sound Studios. So Glenn, I'm not familiar with him. No. Well, it's one of the YouTube channels that basically taught me how to produce myself. The likes of Warren Heward, Recording Revolution, and those kind of guys. They were the ones that taught me most of what I know. I did study production, but I think I learned more from producers telling me how things work in the practical way, like on the practice. But Glenn recently bought a Neve console, and he's like, okay, it's because the Neve console makes me do it faster. There's not as much choice paralysis. Like I have the tools there, and those are the tools that are available, and I just take those and work with those and make it and make them sound however I can. I kind of disagree with it. Like part of me agrees. Sure, you can pump music out faster if you're producing for a living, but when it comes to like processes like yours, maybe like I guess experimenting it kind of opens the door to magic to magic spells.
Totally.
Like and I share the sentiment. I do it myself as well. Like oh fuck, I bought this new plugin pack that does something very differently than what other plugins do. Like I remember like the first time I tried the Baby Audio Crystalline on a synth pad, and I was like, what the fuck is this, man?
Yeah, totally.
And you know, like, sure, choice paralysis is probably not your friend, but when you give yourself the chance of like testing new stuff, and that's kind of the cool thing about plugins, like especially after the impulse response revolution. Now we are like capturing real snapshots of things that like that conversation of digital versus analog is not a thing anymore. Like digital devices are literally capturing snapshots of what the analog counterparts used to do. So plugins are as reliable as like more reliable than they have ever been. And when you start trying out like these SSL channel strip emulations, you start trying one of my personal favorites, the Saturn II Saturator from FabFilter.
Dude. Oh, FabFilter's nasty.
Yeah, like and doing things like the multi-band compression, Andy's neat tracks, and the Abbey Road reverbs. Like those were things that require a huge investment 20 years ago, and now you can do them with a couple $100, you know?
Or even one of my favorite reverbs I use is Valhalla Vintage, and they have Valhalla Shimmer, and those are $25, I think, or something like that a piece, and they're worth every penny. Worth every penny.
Dude, the Valhalla, like Valhalla Delay and Valhalla Room sounds so ridiculously good. And
I don't know how you could get a better sound. I mean, I know it's all based off the analog world, but they did such a good job modeling what the great reverbs and the great delays of old. And the shimmer is really cool. The shimmer is really cool. Do you use it at all?
Yeah, I do use it. I actually, like, when we do the podcast, my reverb track, which is like to simulate a room mic, is Valhalla Room, and it's like a very attenuated, like minus 21 dB reverb or something like that, just to create like the space behind us, because it's a room environment after all. So it's
going to also mimic the 80s.
Yeah,
and 80s reverb.
I like how the shimmer is so unpredictable. Like you never know what it's gonna do. It does something different. Like you move one knob ever so slightly, and it sounds entirely different and starts doing something completely different. So like for sound design, so I have like one of my personal tracks from my personal portfolio was I was basically doing, so my kick was a smack on the desk. My snare.
What is it called? I want to check it out. What's the name of the track?
It's called Peripheral Dance. I'll send it to you after this. But what I did was, like, my kick was a smack on my desk. My snare was a smack on my space bar. I started sliding my mouse, and I kind of created like a turntable slide with that. And I also started like playing the tambourine with one of my headphones. And I made a track with that. But the cool part was that then I designed a patch. It was like a warm pad with X-First Serum, one of my favorite synth plugins. And it was basically like a warm sine wave with tape saturation, just to make it sound ever so warm and mellow. And I slapped the Baby Audio Crystalline on it. Have you tried that one?
Not yet. I gotta try that.
You should do it, because it has like different resolutions of shimmer settings that do, like, it creates these weird artifacts, and you will think you're using the most expensive synthesizer on the planet. That's just awesome. Ridiculous.
Well, I like doing some like guitar lead stuff on it and throwing the shimmer layered on top.
Right.
And you would think you're playing a synth, right? You know.
Right.
It was pretty crazy. Ever tried it with horns?
No, not really.
Try it.
Really?
Try it. It'll blow you away. I'm using it on a new song we're doing called Dig Duggin', which is about Dig Dug, and hilarious song and fun, funky and fun. No More Kings is going to be singing that with me, and I used a little bit of the shimmer on the actual horns, and it just layers. Even though the horns are tight, you know, like tower power.
I don't remember the last time I used horns, but now I'm gonna use horns. I'm gonna have an excuse to use it.
I use horns. I have a song called Eating Ghosts. I don't know if you heard that one. It's on Smash It Up. and Spotify put it on their funk rock editorial playlist. It has been there since they put it out there in September of last year. Has been a great source of new fans for us. And I used a Tower of Power style horn section.
Oh, dude, I love Tower of Power.
And then, dude, did a duet between Mr. and Mrs. Pac-Man. So the song is a duet between Mr. and Mrs. Pac-Man. And I'll never forget how I wrote it. And this is what people don't realize, the creative process, right? So I'm out to dinner with my wife one night, not even thinking about music. I go into the bathroom.
And you start catching an idea while you're taking a piss.
Dude, that's exactly right. So I look into the urinal, and there's a urine cake in the shape of a Pac-Man. And all of a sudden, dude, you guys have to go listen to this song. All of a sudden, because I'm eating ghosts, the supernatural host. My voice is still shot because I went on tour a couple weeks ago. And then I came back to the bar, grabbed my phone, and I voice memoed the entire track, including the lyrics, in 3 minutes, right there at the bar. I thought it was nuts.
Yeah.
Next day, recorded it. 2 days later, we produced it. And then it became our most successful song to date. And so, you just don't know where the creative process is going to come from.
True.
And it's usually somewhere, you don't expect it,
Right.
I'll be playing a game and something will happen. That's how Killing Machine came about with Pathfinder. There's one of those lines that he uses a lot. He goes, "Look out, world, I'm the killing machine." And I'm like, I did a little research online, and there's a ton of rap songs that they did about it called The Killing Machine, but there's no rock track on it. So I have Pathfinder doing lead vocals with me. I just can't wait to have people to hear this that are Pathfinder fans, because even the solo is done by Pathfinder's voice. Right. And it's wild. Not sampled, by the way. We did a song called Electric Eye.
So you had the actual voice actor working with you?
No, so I find a voice actor that can mimic it.
Okay.
Because I don't have the licensing rights with Apex. I'm not licensed by Apex.
So you're not working with Respawn directly. You're doing it because you like Apex.
Yeah, I'm just a geek, man. I'm just a guy who loves games, loves music, and writes. Some people write about love, and I do that too. But it's always through the eyes of a video game character. Some people write about hate, and I do that too. But it's always through the eyes of a video game character. So, it's a cool place to be when the things you enjoy doing, music, gaming, camaraderie with the team, friendship, laughter, when Damien and I get together and we write, with Gabe sometimes, with James sometimes, and with Pete sometimes, and we get together and we, listen to the things that I started to create. I hear one thing, but Damien hears something just a little bit left of center, and how magic can happen from that. And then you get into the studio, you then record it, and either hits the right way or it doesn't. And I remember when we did Raiding the Tomb, which is about Lara Croft, it sounded awesome already in the studio. But I left there and I kept saying to myself, Danny, I'm flying home and I'm going, something is not right about this chorus. The guitar part was killer. The drums were killer.
And it literally tortures you and takes your sleep away. And you can't have peace until you find it. I know.
So listen to this. I get home. My wife's like, how'd it go? I said, yeah, it went great. 2:30 that morning, I woke up and I said, "Bob, Bob, Bob." Like I heard, and I said, oh,
that's it.
I got to rearrange the entire song.
The light bulb.
And I went and I rearranged the entire song. And that, I really would love to show people what it sounded like beforehand, because people would be like, oh, that was really cool, to what it came out afterwards. And that's where the creative process is magical, right? Because
Absolutely.
If you allow yourself to step back from yourself, rethink it sometimes, magic can happen in ways you never explored. Or a different, I remember one time, it sounded like Donkey Kong. I thought it was amazing. The whole song had the conga drums in it, like the Donkey Kong kind of drums. I sent it to my brother, Neil, to do the lead guitar on. He calls me back. He goes, dude, I ain't playing guitar on this piece of crap. I said, what do you mean? He goes, dude, back in the kitchen. This thing's a train wreck. And I was kind of offended. I was like, because everyone else, all of us loved it. So I'm listening to it again. I'm like, that son of a bitch is right. This thing is a freaking train wreck. And once again, can't sleep. But it came to me. And in 24 hours, the whole thing was turned around. And I sent it back to my brother, and he goes, that's it. And you have to have people like that in your life that you trust, creatively. Mm-hmm. And you have to be, as a creative, okay with criticism.
Absolutely.
Which is hard, because we're already tough on ourselves, right, as creatives. But you have to have those voices that you trust. And fortunately, thank God I do. And then you have to have the humility, Daniel, to do it.
I actually have, it's a bigger problem when your friends and close ones always tell you what you're doing is right. Because that kind of creates like the illusion that whichever criticism comes from the outside is just like ill-intentioned, and it's not like well-founded criticism, if you want to call it that, And it's kind of interesting, like the way you put it. I feel more and more identified with you. Like creativity comes from odd places at really odd times. Sometimes it's just like, oh, I learned a new trick. I think I'm always gonna say I'm learning stuff. Till the day I die. But it's like, I don't know, like you learn sound design and which is kind of a personal experience. Like you learn sound design and you learn how to dial in synthesizers, and whether it's like one of the Arturia models or an X4 Serum or a Harmor or a Massive, whichever, you name it. Like the moment you start learning how does a compressor work, and you finally grasp it and wrap it around your head, and that starts creating ideas. The moment you learn how to dial in that sawtooth pad that sounds massive and shimmery, you start getting ideas, and it's kind of the same thing. And it's like the beauty is on the absolute simplest things, and that was something that made, like, as a shred type guitar player.
I was gonna say, Daniel, I got to get you on the album. So
don't tempt me.
I actually have an idea. So I'm recording Blackheart next week, so that one's probably shot. But I do one this fall. I would love to have your guitar voice on the album if you would like to do that.
You don't even need to ask. Just name the date, say the word, fire.
All right, that's awesome. And I can't help but notice that we might be in the exact same chair. Is this possible?
Maybe not. No, we're not. It's the same color. We're a man of culture that liked red and black. Like
part of the Illuminati.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool. Like I recently got this new guitar. You saw it on the last couple of videos I shot. So that guitar is like a metallic black sparkle.
Was that the stuff that you were doing, like the finger pull-offs?
Like the Stanley Jordan type of stuff. I have a story to tell. I have a story to tell you about that one. So that's an Anchor song. It's called Heroes of Sand. They're a Brazilian power metal band. If you don't know them, you should.
All right, dude. I have to write this down.
Write it down. They have like 1 million albums because they've been around since the 80s.
You said Heroes of Sand?
Heroes of Sand. That's the name of the song. And the band's Angra. Angrea. So, and he's one of my all-time favorite guitar players, like right there with John Petrucci. But I was gonna tell you, like, that guitar is a metallic black sparkle. It's called Eclipse Sparkle. Actually, it's one of the JP models from Music Man. And the cool thing about that guitar is, like, have you seen the Mystic Dream guitar, the Mystic Dream finish that is like purple, but depending on the type of light you have on it, turns into green. This guitar does kind of the same, where it kind of shimmers between like blue and red, depending on the type of light you have. So all the RGB on my computer is red, and the guitar looks purple on the videos, but it's not really purple. It's actually black.
Dude, first of all, I thought it was absolutely amazing. You know who I flew on a plane with next to the other day? Mm-hmm. Lawrence. Oh, damn it. I wish I could get my phone. I think it's Lawrence Williams. He opened up for Stephen Vai last year, Joe Satriani.
Jesus.
He played with Billy Squire. He played with the guy's a beast.
Dude, and I
I'll send
think
you.
like I don't know if you agree with this, but I think Steve Vai has to be the greatest guitar player of our time.
I find it hard to find somebody who can
Dude,
play exactly like him.
This combination of unique sound, virtuosity, theatrics, writing, the way every song he makes sounds extremely different from the last things he released.
You want to know my favorite? You want to know my favorite?
Name it.
Favorite guitar album of all time is, and this might offend some people.
Name it.
Eat 'em and Smile by David Lee Roth. With Stephen Vai playing on that album.
Yeah.
That album has Elephant Gun, Bump and Grind, Yankee Rose. When you go and listen to that, the master, I mean, first of all, there's a ton of albums, but this is just me. This is just my geeky 80s, and David Lee Roth was, try to sing a David Lee Roth song. People think he couldn't really sing, and then they try to do a whole bunch of covers on him. And then all the singers are like, that was way harder than we thought. At the end of the day, that album, Eat 'em and Smile, probably has to be one of my favorite guitar albums of all time.
I mean, when you
Tobacco Road, he covers Tobacco Road,
dude. So here's the thing. Here's the way I see it. When you, as a virtuoso guitar player, have the absolute pleasure of working with Frank Zappa and David Lee Roth, you've got to be fucking crazy, man. Like, there is no fucking way you're inside your own mind as a contained normal human being. Like, that guy's brain's probably like of a million different colors with unicorns and roses and rainbows and all that crazy shit jumping from one side to another 24/7. Seriously, like that. It's kind of what like he looks like a smart guy. He sounds like one. He not only like he's into he.
We talking about David right now? We're
talking about Steve Vai. Like Steve Vai. I think he has like a bee or like a honey farming business or something like that. I could be wrong here. But he's like a genuinely smart dude. And what happens with those kind of people is like sometimes, I don't like to use the term because people throw it around too nonchalantly, but like sometimes there's like a form of ADHD there where your brain is always like processing super fast and your body sometimes is unable to keep up. Like that sort of stuff. I think there are a couple people I could tell you that definitely like Tosin Abazi, absolute freaking monster. Of the newer ones, like
so you like a lot of the virtuoso guys as well too, right?
Yeah, obviously. So I'm a weird one. Like I'm a hardcore Petrucci guy. I started with like technical death metal and power metal about 15 years ago, and but
you can tell because you play well.
Oh man, stop being so kind, damn it! I'm just doing what I can.
Don't practice.
So it's like. Sure, I'm a metal dude. I'm a technical metal dude, but I enjoy things like Feared, Haunted, Lamb of God. Those are like very riff-centric bands, very short in solos. But you can also find me listening to Wes Montgomery for an entire afternoon,
That's great.
Or Miles Davis, John McLaughlin, George Benson, or Tears for Fears, In Depeche Mode, Another Day, Rush, Kansas. Pink Floyd, Zeppelin.
Dude, you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Now you get me. I'm
literally mentioning all of your favorite bands. I know. You can't tell.
I do. I like.
You can't tell by listening to those albums you released. You can't tell. Like this man likes the prog from the 70s, hard rock from the 80s, grunge from the 90s, the punk from the 2000s, synth pop, psychedelic, instrumentals, post-rock, you name it.
I like it. I like it all. Like, I mean, I'm a huge. Recently, like I don't know if you've ever heard of the band Royal Republic. You got to check these dudes out.
I haven't.
They're out of the UK, and they have a song called Love Cop, which my brother sent me, and I fell in love with this band. Like I can't stop listening to them. But then you'll find me once a year. Some of the albums that I'll listen to in its entirety once a year. Holy Diver by Ronnie James Dio.
Legendary album for sure.
Vivian Campbell. I mean. Can do no wrong as far as I'm concerned. Then you've got Queensryche, Operation Mindcrime, probably one of the greatest crafted concept albums in my mind. and I know I'm dating myself right now, but I don't even care. So it's like, but I'll listen to a Shinedown album. I'll throw on Luke Bryan and enjoy the album. I'll listen to Jason Aldean. Like but like you said, I'm a sucker. I get it. Like if all of a sudden,
We are
Tears for
suckers.
dude, if all of a sudden a rhythmic song comes on, I mean, I'm in. Like you got me hooked. A great heart track. I was listening to Boston the other day. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to Avenged Sevenfold. I was listening to Asking Alexandria.
Oh,
so you know
yeah,
what I mean?
holy shit.
I'm all over the map.
Dude, so I actually had a friend of mine from here that owns a bar. He was in Colombia like a month ago seeing Asking Alexandria live. And I'm like, dude, are those guys still together? What the fuck?
I mean, it was like, and it was so funny.
And honestly, look, listen, I need to say this, like, for what it's worth, that, like, you have so many metal dudes, especially the black and death metal dudes. I hate you all. Just joking. But you have them bashing against the metalcore community so much. But then, dude, like, I think when Andy Sneap mixed the Poison from Bullet for My Valentine, metal changed forever.
Totally.
Like when Andy Sneap started producing all of these metalcore albums, Kill Switch Engage, Bullet for My Valentine.
Dude, Kill Switch Engage. Are you kidding me? That freak Rose of Sharon.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these songs that they did their cover of Holy Diver was, first of all, the guts to take on that cover at the time was like.
And Howard's voice is freaking majestic. Are you
dude,
freaking kidding me?
Don't get me going. Like the problem with me is that I've got young kids in the house still, and so when I started listening to Asking Alexandria several years back, I didn't really listen to the lyrics. I had no idea. So I'm sitting around driving around with my kids, and I'm like, wait a minute. I think this might be a little too aggressive for the kids in the backseat. So you gotta, it's like. But I've always loved the way rock makes me feel. The way all of those bands you just identified make you feel. They take you on a journey.
Right.
And so, like, I was telling you that I wrote a song recently about Overwatch. Anna from Overwatch, we just wrote a song called Weight of the World. And we produced it like Mutt Lange produced Hysteria.
Anna's my main support, by the way.
Well, so you gotta listen to this. So the whole concept is, if you know her backstory, she's a warrior.
Mm-hmm.
She lost family, and everything in her life is about protecting them. And so I imagine myself as Anna, Damien and I, when we were writing the song together, having the weight of the world on our shoulders. And because she's an older character, I don't know if you know this, she's actually was 51 or 52.
On her 60s.
She's old. She's old. I said, so we want to produce it in that older style. And so I said, I want to have a hysteria sounding track. So we layered 144 tracks of vocals.
Wow.
On this song, and it'll be out at the end of July. It's the only song I've done about Overwatch so far, and it's like probably the most not heavy. It's not heavy at all. It's like Hysteria,
Mm-hmm.
I get Hysteria. It kind of got that feel to it, the airiness to it. But it's a powerful song, and so one of the things we're going to do.
She's one of the most profound characters if you think about it. Like,
totally.
She's very much a necessary evil type of woman. She not saying that she's evil herself, but she's the best. She's the best sniper of the world, and she's killed a bunch of people. Like, she's literally a killing machine herself, but she does not pride on it. So it's probably like she doesn't sleep because the souls of the people she's killed are hunting her somehow. And she's like, okay, I gotta right my wrongs. I gotta protect justice this, justice that. It's kind of a complicated mental landscape to have, And I remember like
well, if you remember right, her backstory is she regrets a lot of the things she's had to do, but she's saying to her daughter,
she had to abandon her daughter to become a superhero, like a vigilante. Exactly.
She's saying to her, I'm doing this for you. The weight of the world is on my shoulders.
I'm trying to create a world that is not as bad as mine for you.
Exactly, by killing everyone. And so it's fun exploring characters like that.
I also like it how she's kind of silly. Like she's like, oh, maybe I should take a 1 month vacation in Hawaii or something. I would like some pina coladas right now. Can we finish the mission so we can go to the beach?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
it's such a well dimensionalized character. Like
Are you still playing Overwatch?
Yeah, I still play it at least every other day or so. I do have some differences with the way the community is being handled on the game, and like how many of those decisions seem to have like the wrong voices, putting opinions on the plate and whatnot. So, but yeah, I still play it. I still enjoy it. Like in contrast to most Overwatch players right now, especially the ones that play ranked. I enjoy the game. I like how everything's different, how every new character adds a new interaction, how it literally twists the game around every time they move like one number.
Totally.
Oh, this guy gets like one more point of damage, and suddenly the meta's entirely different just because of that one point of damage. Like things ripple really fucking hard in that game, and that's kind of what I like about it.
It's the same thing with Apex, man. It does
exactly
the same thing.
Exactly. So it's like this type of game where when you take when you take the grasp of it, when you finally land it, a good Overwatch player can be great in any shooting game, and that's kind of the common consensus. Like if you're like a Diamond, Masters, Grandmaster player in Overwatch, you can just hop into a Call of Duty lobby without even knowing what the game is all about, and you're gonna wreck the shit out of everyone. For real, totally. Effortlessly. But yeah, I'm playing Cyberpunk as well lately. This is literally my first playthrough of Cyberpunk. 80 hours down, and I've been playing for like 1 month or so. I'm spending a ridiculous amount of time. So good. It's like a type of dystopic future. It has freaking Keanu Reeves on it, man. Keanu Reeves is literally.
So is that a newer game?
It came out in like 2021, late 2020, I believe. And you literally have Keanu Reeves as an imaginary friend throughout the entire game.
Well, you know what's funny, I'll leave you with this because I know we're running out of time. But
man, for you, I have all the time on the planet.
I know. Well, the unfortunate thing is I'm running out of time. But so the voice of Destiny. So I told you about how I was a Destiny player. So I haven't written a song about Destiny, but I came up with this concept once again in the middle of the night. I woke up. And a dream I had, and I was thinking of Peter Dinklage, who used to do the voice of Ghost. I don't know if you remember that. The original Ghost in Destiny.
Really?
Watch out! Here comes the wizard. Was Peter Dinklage?
I didn't know it was him. Holy hell!
So watch this. So I said, the song came to my mind. It was almost like it would bring me the horizon type of feel, is what I was thinking about sonically for the song. Mm-hmm. And I said, man, I'm going to write a song called The Voice of Destiny. People are not going to know what I'm talking about, but it's from the perspective of Ghost. It was Peter Dinklage. And he was saying, I was always the voice of destiny, because what you don't realize is that Peter Dinklage was actually fired from Destiny and replaced by Peter North. And so one of the songs we wrote for the new album, Blackheart, coming out, is called The Voice of Destiny. And it's the whole story of how Peter Dinklage was upset that his job was taken over by Peter North. And so the lyrics are funny if you know the backstory, but if you don't know the backstory, you think I'm just talking about being the voice of destiny, of like, almost like God's on your shoulder or whispering or whatever. And so it's just so much fun doing what we do. And
yeah, totally.
It
is probably the funniest thing to do on earth. Like, honestly, I feel like these people whose lives are literally working and doing social life, like working an office job and doing social life, and they at times they look like so fed up, so depressed, so tired of everything. And I'm like, dude, you know what? You should probably buy an instrument, buy a guitar, buy a drum kit, buy a saxophone, buy a flute,
ukulele, anything.
Buy anything. If you become a musician, even if it's a hobby, your life, like your quality of life and your mental health is going to skyrocket. 100%, dude. You do not need a psychologist to tell you that. For real.
No.
Man, thank you so much for being here. I enjoyed the conversation like you have no idea. And I
wasn't kidding, by the way, Daniel. I want to I'm going to send you some ideas I have for some tracks this fall.
Let's make it happen.
Let me know which one you want to shred on.
Let's make it happen, dude.
Are you the kind of guy that I can say to you, hey, I'm looking for a Joe Satriani style lead, and you could try to make that happen?
I believe so. We'll see.
We will see.
So,
we will see.
One more thing, Adam. Your socials, Adam Music Project everywhere.
Yeah.
Right?
So the best place to really experience what we're doing is YouTube.
Right.
So our YouTube, every song has a video to go along with it. You can, and I respond personally to every comment. It's the only place I do that.
So there's not a community manager in the middle.
I am the only one on YouTube that responds to the comments. Instagram, you may or may not get me. Most of the time, you're going to get me. TikTok, you may or may not get me, but most of the time, you'll get me. But YouTube's a great way to experience what I'm doing, right? So we're on TikTok at Adam Music Project, YouTube at Adam Music Project, Instagram at Adam Music Project, AdamMusicProject.com. You can go see all the people that have been involved in the project. And, I think this is important, guys. For those of you who are watching, independent artists like ourselves, we need your support. And so if you do see something that you like, don't assume other people know about it, because they probably don't. Help us share it, get the word out, follow us, like it, link it, tweet it, exit, whatever you got to do. We need as much help as we can get out there, because what we are committed to doing here at the project is to make the highest quality music about silly things. And if you guys have an idea of a character you'd like us to write a song about, you too, Daniel, send me an email, which is Adam at AdamMusicProject.com. Pretty damn simple. But like I said, you can always reach out to me directly on YouTube in any one of the videos, and you'll know it's me. I appreciate your time, everyone. Thanks, Daniel, for your time.
Thank you so much to you for being here. Guys, thank you for staying until the end. I will catch you on the next one. Good night.
Esto fue Gamers RD Podcast de gamers para gamers. Hasta la próxima.